Let's talk statistics, ladies and gentlemen. Now, a lot of people think that their rank is maybe what it should have been in Season 2 that they've got right now in Season 3. And while that is kind of true, in this video I'm going to explain what is going on with the rank distribution. That is, what kind of rank you have right now compared to Season 2. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm S-ATAIII and this is Unit Lost, and this is a graph. This is a graph from a website called Master Overwatch. This is from Season 2. What this shows is the skill rating distribution. As you can see, somebody's edited the graph and put their thoughts all over it, which is fine. I mean, I found this on Google Images because I couldn't actually get the actual image from their website, but I knew, because they've updated to Season 3, but I knew what had happened, right? So if you look at this graph, what this means is right in the middle there, that is pretty much 2,500 rating, yeah? Look at how condensed all of the ranks are, right? So there's hardly anybody in Bronze, there's hardly anybody in Grandmaster, right? This has shoved everybody together. So what this means is, from High Diamond to Master to Grandmaster, you have the very best players. From High Diamond, or even Mid Diamond, that was the top 5% of players in Season 2, right? And in Season 3, that's actually the top 20% of players. But we'll get onto that in a second. So the top 5% were Mid Diamond to Grandmaster, right? And top 500. So that meant all of those players were really good players. If you were there, in the games that you were getting, you would easily get a game of sort of equal skill, right? There'd be good players on your team, and there'd be good players in the enemy team, and it'd be a good game. And this works on the other side of the graph as well. So down below, like in the sort of silver and like, I guess maybe high bronze level, there's not that many people there. So those people there kind of belong there in a way. So their games would be okay. The biggest problem was, and this is where people were like, oh my god, there's an elo hell. There kind of was, if you look at this graph. Between 2,000 and 3,000, you could get any kind of player. Like, you could get somebody who was legitimately a good platinum player with a bronze player. And I'm not shitting on people who are bronze players, but those people can't play together, because that is like putting somebody who's a lot better with a team that's not as good, right? So you're going to have a lot of issues, and that's where you get a lot of the salt from. That was a lot of the, oh my god, what is going on? What is happening now, and this is very relevant to my experience, is I'm experiencing this right now, but I think it will calm down over time. So what we're going to look at here is the actual skill rating distribution for Season 3 right now. And now look at it. It's way different, right? It's much sort of a nice... They call this a bell curve. It's a nice kind of bell curve. So at the extreme, so if we go right down to the bottom here and we look at the skill rating 650 to 700, there is like... That is the bottom percentage of the game. Now if we go right to the top, this is the 4,400 to 4,450 plus. That is the top 1% of the game. Now, if remember what I said before, the top 5% was around about 3.3k in Season 2. Well, if we find 3.3, let's see if we can find it. Here it is, right? So let's say this one, right? 3,250 to 3.3. This is the top 19%. So like I said earlier, it's basically the top 20%, that is, of the game. Now, that's kind of the rank I was last season. I was a little bit higher. I went into Masters, and then I'd play, like, maybe get to like 3.7, then I'd drop down to like 3.4, then I'd go back to 3.7. That's kind of where I settled in Season 2. The thing is, right now, that's not where I belong in Season 2. In Season 3. And I'm confusing myself, because what has happened is you get this thing called SR boost. So if we go to what my highest was, so here, right, I got 3.75, no, I think I got 3.8. Yeah, I think I got 3.8, whatever, that was my nearly 3.9k. So if we just say I'm in this bracket here, that's the top 6%. That correlates to the percentage that I was in Season 2. So that would have, basically, this here is old Season 2 mid-diamond. The problem is, though, right, what has been happening is, to distribute these people throughout all of these ranks, is you get SR boost. So when you finish your placement games, if you start winning games and you get lucky and you win a couple of games, you get much more SR from that. So it can propel you suddenly from, let's say this rank here, 2.6k, straight up to this level. So you go into Masters, you go into 3.5k plus, which I said is sort of the old diamond, if you look at it that way. The problem with this is those players that have been propelled forward into that rank may have been lucky in their games. What that means is they might not actually be at the same level as those players. Now, I don't want to be big-headed. I don't want to be like, oh god, I'm the best player. I'm not the best player. I'm not a pro player. I'm just decent at the game. I play the game a lot, so I should be okay at it, right? I get games with players that are horrifically bad, and I'm like, wow, what are these guys doing? They're playing team comps that make no sense. They're playing heroes wrong, just flat out wrong. I had a guy play Sombra who was asking, what is the hack duration on Sombra? Like, why would you be asking that if you were playing Sombra? It's like insane. And you look at their profile and you see that in Season 2, they were mid-plat. Now they're in Masters. It's like, what's going on? Well, this is what's going on. The system right now, because it's still early in Season 3, is trying to distribute everybody across the ranks as fast as possible and put you into a bracket that makes sense. The biggest problem with this is, and in fact, I don't have any information to show this off, but SR boost stops at a certain point when the system thinks you're in a kind of in a bracket what works for you. So I think the way it works that out is if you start winning and losing, then you're in the right place and then you stay there. The problem with that is, and this is why I'm going to moan a bit about my situation, is I don't know whether that's happened to me just yet, but it might be very close to happening to me, because what's happening is I'm going into games and the game could be a phenomenal game, like a really good game, the team work together. Then the next game, it's like playing in a completely different tier, like with people who are just making the wrong decisions all of the time, and it's like, what's going on here? I know that I shouldn't be playing with these people. What's going on? So I tried to talk to them over the team chat, we're trying to work together, but it feels like a completely different game. Then you lose, and then you get a good game, and then you win, and then you lose. And the danger with that is the system could be like, oh yeah, you know what, you belong here, and then sort of leave me there. So the idea of ELO hell, whereas in Season 2 it was sort of around the 2,500 level, because you didn't really know what kind of play you were going to get there, now it can sort of happen anywhere. Because I've even had people in Grandmasters who are like, the games are crazy. Like, we're getting people in the games that were Platinum last year. Now they're Grandmaster. How is that even like, that is a massive jump in skill. Now, people could get better at the game. That's totally fine. But what you don't want is people in brackets where they don't belong. Now, a lot of this is focused on me talking about the high end, the top of the game, which is generally where I've been playing, right? So if I've been playing in the top 5% of the game, then that's where my relevant experience is. But that doesn't matter, because this is being replicated in the lower tiers as well. And it's being replicated kind of everywhere. If you look at the graph, it does show in the middle that it is kind of, there's more players banded around the center, which does make sense, right? There are a couple of anomalies, like you've got a lot of people were at 3k. I think that's just because of decay in Season 2. So if you decay down to 3k, when you did your placement games, it's going to put you around 3k. And 2.5k is kind of like the medium, like the top 58% or so players. So that's kind of where it wants players to sort of be, in the middle ground. So it makes sense that more players would be average, right? At the extremes of the graph, it's going to be less population. But what I'm saying makes sense everywhere, because to use a silver example, imagine if you were silver in Season 2, now suddenly you're in platinum. Do you think you belong in platinum? Well, yeah, you do, right? This is the big thing. You do belong in platinum. Me saying that these players in Masters right now don't belong in Masters is not true. They do belong in Masters. The problem is they were not mastered Season 2, right? Season 2 Master and Season 3 Master is completely different. Season 3 GM and Season 2 GM is completely different. Season 3 Silver and Season 2 Silver is completely different. So whatever tier you're in right now, you could argue that, yeah, you do kind of belong there. The biggest issue I've got, though, is with the Boost SR, because it gives you a placement rank, and then it starts, you rapidly start gaining SR. Now, if you get lucky and you're in teams that are working extremely well together, you could propel yourself straight up into like 3.5k from maybe last season you only had like 2k. Now that's a big jump, right? Now when you start going and carrying on playing in those games, you'll start making mistakes that will cost your team, because at that level, really, should you be there? Because that's such a massive jump. Now the problem is, those players on your team that maybe you do cause the loss for, it starts dropping them down, and then maybe they get another person who has had rapid SR boost, and then they get dropped down. This is where the system is a bit dodgy. In Season 2, it was you didn't really feel like you were going anywhere, right? That was the problem with Season 2. I just sat around the same rank I was always at, and to try and get into top 500 would have meant like I would have to have become a drastically better player, which I am getting better. I do think I'm getting better at the game, but to that level, top 500, with the pro gamers, yeah, I had a few games last season where I played with them, but not every, I'm just going to get destroyed at that rank. I need to get much better at the game. Now, though, it's like I can rapidly advance, and if I went up into GM, do I think I'm a GM player? Well, I think I could play GM on some characters, but I'm not a GM DPS player. I can tell you that straight away. You look at the likes of the top McCrees and the top soldiers, they would kill me. They would absolutely wreck me. But I reckon that this season, if I go and play comp now, win 5 games, I'll probably be in GM, which is crazy. However, like I said, that is the rank. That is your rank right now. So is your rank fake or not? Well, it's not really. It is if you compare it to Season 2, and it is right now, kind of, because the season is still kind of new. I've noticed that playing over the weekend or playing in sort of the time when people come back from work or back from school can be a bit of a problem, because I played with another Sombra character who just kept committing suicide. I looked at this Sombra's profile, and again, this was a Platinum player last season, and now it was in 3.7k Masters. It had only played its placement games, and I was like, well, why is this in Masters? This doesn't seem right. It must have won every single placement game, and it's put it into 3.7, which seems a bit high, really. And this player was really bad, and this player was saying in the chat, like, Sombra is great, I'm a Sombra main, and now I'm looking at the profile, I'm like, you've played Sombra for 16 minutes, you haven't even played her in quick play, what are you doing, right? And the person's like, no, Sombra works fine, shut up, and I'm like, oh my god, you know, what is this? Like, that is not something that you would see at a higher level. I mean, Sombra's fine if you use her properly, not if you've just played her for 16 minutes and now you're playing her in competitive. That's a bit mental, and there's things like that are going to keep happening. Now, whether that happens more so on the weekends when everybody's at home because people have maybe just done the placement games and they're not sort of up to speed, is probably the case. Like, I'm recording this video pretty early in the morning on a Monday. I reckon if I play competitive now with the no-lifers are all online, it's going to be a much better game, because those people are actually going to be worthy of their rank. They're not going to be people who have been boosted and then are still trying to find their rank placement in the system. And this is the final thing I want to talk about with the whole rank distribution, is it doesn't distribute players fast enough. We have now quite a lot of data. We have we have 2 seasons of full competitive data. Now, I know they've changed the way that the rank is displayed to us, but I think essentially the data is still recorded the same. So what I don't understand is, why can't they just put us straight into brackets that they know we would function in? So if I was Diamond, or like High Diamond, mid to low Master last season, why have I not been put into High Master this season? And they've just left me. You don't need SR boost for that. You can just leave me there. Now, in my case, there's a lot of data which would back that up, because I played hundreds of games in Season 2. In a lot of people's cases, maybe they haven't played hundreds of games. Maybe they've played 20, 30, 40 games. But still off that, you should be able to work out some sort of placement. Instead of saying, here's 10 games, and we're going to, because I think what they did to me is they were like, right, this player's going to go in at like 3.6k or 3.7, but we're going to see what he can do in the placement games. And I won 5, lost 4, and there was 1 draw, so it placed me just under Master in the current season, which is probably fair based off those placement games. But is that fair in the long run? Well, okay, maybe not. So that's why you get SR boost. So then if you keep winning games, you'll rapidly go up, and it did. I went straight up into 3.9. I was like, well, this is great. Everybody's going to think it's great if you're ranking up. But then I started to have games that were all over the place. It was, you'd have a really good player or you'd have a really bad player. And I think this is just indicative of every single rank at the moment right now. They're not set. It's going to take some time for them to be set. And when they are set, it should be a little bit better. But your rank is not fake. Your rank is just different because there's a better spread. They did say that more people are going to get moved into silver and into gold and into, I guess, low platinum. But that also works the other way. More people will get moved into diamond, master, and GM, because that's just how this will work. You can't spread out one side of the graph and then leave the other side just not doing anything, because that wouldn't work. There are, 5,000 ranks that need to be filled, right? And there's already players like Evermore, a Korean pro bloody Roadhog, extremely good player, 5,000 skill rating. Zebasai, another player, I think he's Swedish actually, Zebasai, and he's 4,800 rating. Like, these are extremely high ratings that you didn't really see last season. So you can see the best players are going right to the top, which they should be, right? And the worst players are probably going right to the bottom. But those are extreme cases that I think settle much faster, because if you are an extremely good player, you will go straight to the top. If you're somebody like me who's, pretty good, knows quite a bit about the game, and is going to have good fun and good time playing the game, you're going to be at your rank. You do have a chance of going up, but also maybe slightly going down. That's fine if the games are close. Like I've always said, if you lose a game of Overwatch, it's fine, right? If it's close, it's fine. That's what makes the game brilliant. When it's that you lose by half a meter on a payload map, that's cool. It's not cool when you lose because your team are just outright worse than the enemy team in every single way. And it's very clear. Like, you'll notice this. You'll be like, wow, this is so bad. And also, sometimes your team might be way better than the enemy team. And again, it's still not that great because it's just a stomp and nobody wants that. Sure, you'll get rank, but are you actually having a good time? I don't know. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been a pretty complicated video. I want you to let me know what you think about this in the comments below. Do you think your rank is correct? Do you think what I've explained makes sense? And I think I'll leave it at that, guys, because I'm losing my voice. Oh my god. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Stylosa, and this is Unit Lost. If you enjoyed the video, then like the video, subscribe to the channel, and try not to get salty, because if you followed me on Twitter the other day, I was getting a little bit salty, because I was getting quite frustrated, because I was getting put with like players time and time again who were just, I don't know, they were doing my head in, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my god. Anyway, guys, I will catch you on the next one. Toodaloo.